Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
End of personnel report under curriculum, co-curriculum, and policy. I'm going to pull item A. Do we need to pull any of the rest? Hearing none, then item B is for, oh wait, Carrie, is item A for discussion only as well?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
We don't need approval, do we?
So, no, so if that's discussion only, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, we receive every year since, oh, go ahead.
Let's do the vote and then we'll come back to this and forward it, yeah. Go ahead and do your motions for your items.
In the form of a motion, recommend approval of board policies 216.1, 222, 227, 236.1, 247, and approval of the Harrisburg University Science and Technology Agreement.
Yeah, got a motion on the floor to approve the following board policies, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 on the agenda, and item D. Do I have a second?
Second, Wrestler.
Okay. Any discussion on those guys?
Yeah, I think it's great that we're adding to our dual enrollment. Nice to,
Yeah, yeah,
Any more discussion?
absolutely. No, that was Judy.
oh,
That was
very
Dr.
good,
Berry.
Judy, thank you.
That was all her.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, Dr. Pencil, would you like to
Sure.
talk about the LIU agreement?
The LIU agreement is simple. It's a lending library for STEM items and tools and different things that we provide for our students. So since I got here in 21, 22, this agreement has come through, and every year we check. I've asked Dr. Berryman to check, and she checked with Mr. Welkman at ACES, who uses this material in his classroom and saves the district a lot of money on these items because it's a free service that the IU provides us. So we receive these items, we use them, he sends them back, and we just keep signing the agreement each year that allows us to be a part of that. We did not have it for the work session, so we had it. It's just for information purposes only.
Thank you. And so this is an agreement that we do not need to approve.
Correct.
As a board.
Correct. This is a lending library agreement between the IU, and it's been a regular thing that we've signed since I've been here. I just thought it would be important to provide for information.
Is there any discussion from the board on the first reading of the listed board policies? Hearing none, that's the end of the report.
Okay. Ryan, policy.
Well, as I reported last week, we got Sean to agree to another year as the director, so feeling really good about that. We also created a position, assistant to the director. That position is solely to do the day-to-day management of the school, which will then free up Sean, the director, to do his director things, like work on the budget, like work on expansion, like work on land deals, that sort of thing. The budget will be coming up next month, and we'll be bringing it around. As I said last week, Sean will be, Mr. Eckenrode will be out visiting schools again, and anytime we want to set a date to have him come, he would like to come and talk to the board and the community again about the importance of ACTI and what we were trying to achieve with ACTI. And as I said last week, I thoroughly expect us to have a land deal, by summer. Yeah, we have a number on they've been looking at. The problem is, as soon as they start looking at them, one is sold, or two are sold, and then two more pop up, and you put it back on the agenda, and so there's this sort of rotating, options. I think they're just going to have to make their mind. So I expect, by summer we'll have a land deal.
Brian, is
Yes.
there any way that you guys can have like an emergency meeting in that time? Somebody finds land, calling emergency meetings, you guys can get together to purchase the land?
Well, before that,
Since it's
well,
happening so quick.
they have to do a number of things before that. They have to
Okay.
buy they have to go out and evaluate the land, make sure it is what they say it is. They're also looking for water on the lands, because, anyway, there are some other ones that we looked at, but they're
Infrastructure.
yeah,
Except
just,
for
the infrastructure, yeah, there was just problems with it that we thought would work. But as soon as they find one and they get to talking, it's gonna happen quick. And right now, they have a couple costs we're looking at now, and I expect, like I
Are they
said,
zoned for?
by some-
Are they zoned
that could be an issue too. Yeah, so those things have to sort of be figured out before we decide to buy, so it's a lot of money. But we do have a deadline, because we do have, $500,000 on the table, from the county, for the purchase of land, so we have to do it soon before that runs out. I think it's what, I forget.
And you're gonna ask.
Yep, I forget.
And you're
What's
gonna
that?
ask.
So they extend it?
The 500,000 ends
End of this year.
end of this
Yeah,
year.
December calendar year.
Yeah, so I really, like I said, I thoroughly expect us to purchase land by some.
And they still have to advertise, if they have
Yeah.
emergency session, they still have to
Still have to
advertise.
Yeah, I
24
know,
hours,
for
yeah.
24 hours.
Yep.
So if for some reason it doesn't, let's just say things keep happening, falling through
Yeah, yeah.
for some reason or another, and there's no land by December of 2025, is that money gone, or can
That
they
money's,
extend it?
well, that I'm unsure of, that's a good question, question I would have to ask.
I mean, if
have
it's
no
for our
answer to that one.
students,
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
They could
well,
extend it.
it comes from the commissioners, so I would imagine, I would hope anyway. But it's a good question, I'll definitely take it all back and ask, but I don't expect it to go down.
Okay.
Brian, on that money, is that like I guess it would be a grant, but is that just something that they diverted from their budget?
I don't know what the commissioners did to give us that money, that's a question for the commissioners. I was just saying, thanks.
I think it was just the 500,000
Yeah.
used for whatever.
Use for, yeah. the
So they
land.
technically, if they weren't gonna get granted again, I think they could use it for equipment or whatever.
This is, I was unaware of.
I think that's the way it is, but that's a lot of equipment, so I
Yeah.
think they're gonna put towards land, if I remember correctly. I can,
Yeah, I don't know, it's been
senior
a while
citizens.
since this was laid out, yeah.
So you're saying if they don't find land, they can use it for something? before
If
it's-
I remember correctly, but again, it's been a long time since,
It's a good question for you to go back.
so, let him go back and get clarification.
And maybe see if the commissioners would just give it
Extend, or just give it.
Give it to you to have for when you need to buy them.
Well, right now we do have it.
Well,
it's
put it in-
like
put
I
it in-
expect
account,
them to use it
Put it in
before
a
something.
bank account,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, right. Yeah.
Oh, so the clock's ticking on even though it's sitting in the bank?
That's correct.
Well, it is
Yeah.
sitting in the bank.
It is
It's
sitting
in
in the
your
bank,
bank.
it's been there, yeah.
I think that's gonna take back.
Yeah, take back.
They're
Yeah.
J-Bags, yeah.
A bank,
All right, anything else, Brian?
No.
Okay. All right, Nick, you're up.
For PSBA report tonight, I wanted to highlight PSBA's current legislative campaigns. PSBA is focused on advocating for mandate relief and cyber charter reform as the 2025 legislative session advances. We've talked a lot about cyber charter, and we've had our wonderful pop-up and everything. There's related to cyber charter, so I want to focus on their push for mandate relief tonight. So over the past several years, the state has made big investments in public education, but they pale in comparison to the increases in mandated costs. Unfunded and underfunded mandates force school districts into paying associated costs and diminish their ability to deliver quality education. Often, school districts are forced to raise taxes, increase class sizes, cut staffing positions, and eliminate or reduce programs, among other financial sacrifices. Mandate relief is crucial for districts across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to increase spending in the classroom. As legislation continues to be introduced and the budget season is quickly approaching and here, your advocacy is critical. You can lend your voice to these important issues by reaching out to your legislators, board members, and the public alike. Ask them to eliminate or provide schools with flexibility regarding the cumbersome and unfunded mandates that are costing districts across the Commonwealth critically needed resources to address essential needs. Also ask them to support cyber charter school funding reform that more accurately reflects the costs of educating a child virtually for both regular and special education programs. And unless there are any questions, that's the end of my report.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none. Okay. LIU, 6 resignations, 3 retirements, 1 professional, and 11 support positions are filled. So always there's a lot of resignations on there. The next board meeting for them is May 6th at 7 p.m. It's a Tuesday, held at Lincoln Intermediate, if somebody wants to go. And that's it for that.
Why is that still not doing well with, keeping staff? Okay, they changed management, is it they don't pay well, what is it?
I think there's a CBA that was just, I think some things were just met. Dr. Marchese has just come on board since January. So Dr. West retired. He has been on board. He is a good gentleman, he's a good man, working hard. He has some really good ideas, and I believe that his goal is to build the culture of LIU to maintain quality staff similar to what we're doing.
It's been years.
He's a good guy.
Okay, you're up.
All right, I'm up. So just as I shared previously in March and before, we have been working pretty diligently on a community survey. We've gotten survey questions together to provide for students, staff of operational, instructional, certificated, administrative, parents, community members. The questions that we've provided are all identifying areas and asking everyone to identify areas of strength and weakness, asking where we can improve, what are our programs that you'd like to have enhanced, what do we do well now, what could we do better, do you feel safe, is the technology that we provide reliable, is it consistent, how do you use it? So it is a pretty comprehensive survey that we're providing. What you'll see moving forward is, again, Mrs. Ewan, do you like to see the pop-up window? So one of the ways that we thought we would attack this is, beginning tomorrow, place that survey on the pop-up window for our students to take. There are some questions in there. We want to be able to track our students with the responses. So we will collect those email addresses. Parents, community members cannot get into the student survey and take it. Board, you can get into any other survey. If you would like to see the questions, I certainly have them here, and I can provide them to you so you can see them. But it will go out tomorrow. The hope is, now, believe it or not, we have about 19,000 residents in Littlestown's area school district that are a part of this community. In the past years, we've had between 800 and 900 responses. My hope is that we can get about 1,500 to 2,000 responses at least. That would be my hope, but I'm not sure. So anywhere you go, everywhere you go, please share, take the community survey, take the survey. It is there. You can only do a community survey, then go back as a parent if you wish to do 2. It will take about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes with some of them. The average number of questions that I have on it is about 25 questions, and it's about 16 multiple choice and 9 open-ended response. That's the average of them. So I'm trying to get multiple choice questions where I can disaggregate some of the data, but also get opinion from our parents, our students, our employees, to be able to get the best understanding of where we are and what we can do to make Littlestown a better place to be.
Is this anonymous?
For parents, yes. Parents, community members, the only one where it is not anonymous is the students. Now, we do have it off. We do make it available. If you wish to give me your email address or submit that, you may do so. So that if you want to remain anonymous, you certainly may.
People are concerned that it's not truly anonymous, but you're saying
Yep,
it's truly anonymous.
absolutely. Mrs. Mummert and I went back through today to make sure and ensure that there are no connections to community responses, parent responses, or anything like that.
Is there a reason why the student board collects their information?
Yeah, because if they're telling me that they're not safe, I want to make sure I know who it is so I can follow up and make sure that they are
Is that
safe.
questions such as like that?
Yeah. So it's questions of that nature.
Do you feel as though that students may be discouraged from taking it if they have to give their information?
They may. We have other redundancies in our system to be able to get information from our students if they're not feeling safe. But I'm hopeful that they'll provide accurate responses for me. And we have it graded K through 2, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12.
And are they taking it on their own time, or have you all blocked off some time for them?
We have not blocked any time off, but we can entertain both options. Give them an opportunity to take it. I'm not forcing certainly do that here at school or at home. So if you have and you want to be able to see some of those questions, I can certainly share them with you. I want to also share with everybody what we have in the back. I highlighted it last week, and unfortunately, Ms. Rakowitz had some iPads to show some video of the artist in residence that Mr. Moran was talking about, working with the students to take the photographs and do all of this. I will share that with you. We'll see if we can't put that video on our Thunderbolt Proud post. If we can, we'll certainly do that. If not, I will share that with the board. For reasons of confidentiality, I have to identify the students and make sure that they're okay to have their image broadcast publicly. So I do want to just share with our Thunderbolt Proud, and if you go and you take a look, we've had a lot of really positive posts, and one of the reasons we have our Thunderbolt Proud post is to be able to put on display the teachers, the new employees, the things that are going really well with the district. And one of the things that I will mention and share with everyone is all you need to do on our homepage is go to the magnifying glass in the top right corner, type in Thunderbolt Proud, and you will see a slew, at least 30 Thunderbolt Proud posts about employees, events, programs, and things that are going well here at Lewistown Area School District. One of the things that I would like to call out too is the events, and you can see that Mr. Moran at ACES, I hope everybody's seen this already. If you haven't, please go on and take a look. Mr. Moran began a few months ago having students do the morning announcements, taking pictures of the students, posting those on the news feed and in that app for the students and the families, and the kids can't be prouder of what they do over there in the morning. It has been a hugely popular event, and it provides and promotes fluent speaking, language development, and it has all of our students across the board that participate. So it's been outstanding. And I was going to say about the Gettysburg Times, and that was taken, so that's the end of my report.
All right, thank you. Old business, FMX report is in your packet noted, and as well as your monthly report. New business. Athletic field discussion. Well, we had three. Did you want to say anything? Shelley?
No, I'm just here in case there's questions.
Okay, I would just like to make a comment.
All right.
Context and information is important, and the Gettysburg Times writes articles. They have reporters that write articles, and sometimes things are submitted to the editor, which is edited or changed. So things were mentioned earlier in public, and I just want to set the record straight that the individual that was writing the article pulled probably off the recording and inserted things off the recording. There was no quote from me personally. So just making sure there's transparency and clarification. Thank you.
Is that talking about? I thought we were talking.
Everybody should have the athletic, the improvement field. So the reason behind this is Brian, from Turfcraft Report, came in front of the board at the work session and provided an update on the design. There's some clarification points of questions that came up through that discussion with Brian that we need to solidify here as a group from the board so we can proceed forward to then have some bid documents that would go out to bid to meet the timeline he presented. So some of those questions we'll go through. The first page here is just a summary of what we've been doing for the past year as a board and as a FPS committee, discussions we've had, and it breaks down further in there, and the board can read that for questions. The biggest items are what was discussed last week and some complications or considerations moving forward. Some of those are highlighted on page 6 on the bulletin list. So some of the ones I'm going to highlight here for just the initial discussion would be the softball ball control netting was a discussion point. The parking, lighting around softball, some irrigation costs, and then obviously subsequently Title IX around those issues. The last page is a recommendation that was previously recommended. It still pretty much holds true today with those discussion items as adding them as alt ads moving forward, or if they are not an alt ad. Just want to note that any alt ad, we want to cast a wide net, as Brian said, and then scale back at bid day. We want the design to be as most encompassing as possible, but if there's the items that are not going to be feasible, we won't want to include those because that is going to be a design fee. So we want to be as inclusive as we can, but if it's 100% no, there's no point in adding it. So that's where the discussion from the full board is. Brian's looking for some direction to solidify his design to send to the county to then get that permit. So that's what he's requested, that the full board have a discussion to solidify what's in the base bid versus what's in the alt ads.
So I hear your ask, Mr. Shoemaker, as base bid baseball. This is what is going to go out, and right now you're looking for consensus for what the alt ads would be for that. Base bid for softball is as is, and consensus for alt ads for softball.
Correct.
So we need to look at page 7 right now?
Page 7 would be the recommendation that we just have at this point in time.
Yep.
But the board can change that from base bid to alt ad or vice versa.
Well, I think if, well, I mean,
Why are we putting bleachers on there?
I don't think they need bleachers, right?
Currently, bleachers are moved.
And there's a reason behind that. The reason is, if we leave them where they are all year long, we need to add approximately 40-some places for people to defecate in the stadium.
That was something Brian was working from the borough perspective, that baseball's not during peak season of football, that the bathrooms would be accommodated.
You didn't hear me. If they stay there permanently, we have to add additional bathrooms. The original agreement with the county, or not the county, but the borough, was that they would grant us in as long as we did not add one permanent seat. If we add one permanent seat, more than what's over there now, we have to add additional bathrooms.
It was a discussion we had, and then
So
like I
that's-
said, Brian was working with the
Yeah,
borough to
that's-
see if we could get.
So you're
wait,
saying the borough's saying
connecting
it's not
path
okay.
over to the bathrooms.
You
in the
see if
football
you could get an
stadium is
exemption
not
from the borough to say that the peak time would not conflict with when football would be, which we would have permanent seats in 2 different sections.
Their keyword was permanent seat, the seats that stay there all year long. So if they move like that, we're following their rules. That's why I don't want to even think about that, because that was added another $1.5 million to the stadium budget back in 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
Thank you.
Assuming that's the same.
Yeah.
So are we saying you're like no bleachers, like no permanent seating?
Say
Yeah,
just-
it makes sense that.
I mean,
it's probably
yeah, I mean,
not
that's
being
fine, so we
all
should
that.
cross that off them.
Say just for baseball, so I guess the clarification. There's bleachers for all that for softball as well, so
Right.
that's in a separate location.
So just take them both off?
No, softball, there's that, as long as something pulls out of over there at football, the stadium, and gets
Okay.
moved, at least once a year, we're following the agreement that we
Okay,
set.
but softball's okay then?
Softball's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if he's saying that the borough's going to exempt it, or potentially going to exempt it, would that be worth exploring?
You want to push a button that says you could add another $2 million?
But if they're going to say that we don't have to, then.
Well, here's
right now it's just a full ad.
the line of thought behind it. It isn't a matter so much of what the borough says. By law, if you have an X number of seats, you have to have an X number of bathrooms.
Is that a borough ordinance or is that?
That's a law. That's a law.
Say
Well,
something
it's
that.
the same as-
federal.
It was the amount of EDUs, I think, was the original problem, the amount of waste and water they could accommodate. So that's where the peak would come in, where we had, at the stadium's perspective, that's where it kind of was, if we had permanent visitor seating, then yes, we'd have to have a second field house on the other opposite side to accommodate the amount of maximum capacity. So it's something we were looking at, would be an exemption, we would have to get that those are not the same EDUs, that they are interchangeable, and that the same EDUs can be extended to baseball because it's an off-season of football. It's just, we don't know if the borough will or won't, it was just something we would look to explore.
But the lighting for the softball, I baseball
I just
field.
want to refer to page 6, I think it's bullet point 5, to some of the complications with softball before we have a,
It's not a cost to add or no existing lighting, it's a Title IX.
that's what I'm saying, I just want to have a discussion of all the avenues that are up for potential.
Are there gonna be any softball games at 7 o'clock in the evening, like there are for baseball? And Dodgers use the baseball stadium in the evenings, correct? I understand what you're saying, I totally get it, I'm just saying,
Let me clue you into a case that happened about 8 or 9 years ago. A high school down south raised money to put really nice seats in like this for a baseball game. They did not do anything for the softball field. The girls sued. All the money that they put out for that had to be taken out because what they did for the boys baseball, they did not do. Even though it was baseball boosters, they did not do for the softball field.
But
And
we're
that's
not
Title
adding
IX.
it, it's already there.
Between the difference
It
is.
does make a difference.
Right, but we don't have lighting
You don't-
present. So
You
if
can
I
make
can,
that changes
Yeah.
though.
yeah, we're making changes to both fields at this point in time. So while the lighting exists for baseball and doesn't exist for softball, last week, as Mr. Walker was sitting right here beside me, he brought up and said, you're going to need to take a look at this. This would be a Title IX complication. So it would be something that we should look at, having a balanced, and that's what we placed here, having a balanced approach for both boys and girls.
Yeah, now the
Okay, then
netting,
are we getting permanent seating for softball?
there's always permanent seating over there. There's always there's always bleachers over there.
Right, or that's not one of the ones they moved to the football stadium for the visitor side
I don't-
during games?
Are they permanent, Mrs. Young, the bleachers at the softball field?
I mean, meaning, do they ever get moved?
I don't think they're permanent.
Do they get moved to the softball, to the base for the football stadium during the
I
football
don't
season?
think so.
1, 2, 3.
No,
Then
that
you
would
can
say
move
because
the
there's a
track.
poles
Okay.
connected to it. That one
Okay.
does fit.
Okay.
There's one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but like the netting for the baseball field, we
Yeah.
don't have to add it to the softball because the netting isn't related to the playing of the sport, it's safety of the neighborhood.
Well, if you're gonna add a parking lot, you have to add that.
They've got a
right?
park.
So that
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
part of.
I mean, I'm just trying.
Well, the netting, I don't know where we were at, and where we were talking about the netting on that one.
I mean, we could get into like a ridiculous amount of a tit for tat here if we go down that road.
And that's why I say it's a balance. It doesn't have to be exact, but it has to be a balance between the sports.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, it was a football stadium. It was a football stadium, that's the reason for the lights.
It
And
doesn't make a difference.
it's not like we're putting new lights up.
Right.
And everything new that we're adding to baseball, we're adding to softball. So it doesn't make any sense to me that the Title IX police is gonna come down on us and say that we're.
There is no Title IX police.
Correct.
There are no Title IX police. However, there are constituents and community members, parents and kids that are involved. And one of the things that we do need to do is we do need to at least consider for that. If the consideration of the board is that we don't entertain the idea for lighting, that's the consideration of the board, but it comes with a risk.
Shelley,
Yes.
are there any softball games played under lights, any of our students play under lights at any stadium currently?
No.
Okay,
And we only have one baseball game that's home at night.
okay,
It's senior night.
right. But I mean, if there was some held somewhere else, then, it might be one that put under the add-all, but just for the, so that we know what it will cost, so that if someone does ask, we're more informed to say no.
Or
Yeah,
take
and
it
with
with
Title
rentals.
IX, it's about making sure both teams have the same opportunities as each other. So like the netting to now wouldn't really be considered, because that's not an opportunity or anything that would enhance either team. But as long as we have a plan in place, in case someone does bring up, hey, why is there a light at the softball field, there's one at the baseball? As long as we have a plan in place